Gonzo, his hatred for me is like so unwarranted. It's the weirdest thing. I don't. And it was so vicious. It was just really strange.
I told him, Gonzo, you don't have to be here. You can leave. Something like that.
Like, I make a point to not say anything to Gonzo directly, and I try to stay off mic whenever he's in the room, because I know that, like, my mere presence bothers the shit out of him. But, like, I mean, it was completely unprovoked tonight when he went off on me. Oh, just my presence around him, like, because I'm everywhere he goes. It's like, so we run in the same circle. Like, what? Get the fuck over it. Like, man up.
Yeah, and God, that's starting to annoy me now. The way he's doing it all the time now.
I've asked him a million times what the reason he dislikes you, and he really doesn't have an answer for it.
He really should be fucking, like, thankful to me, because if it wasn't for me, like I've said this 1,000 times before, a lot of the people in this community now they weren't around when I did my Stern shows. Or my Stern related interviews and stuff like that. So they didn't hear them. They didn't know about all that. I'm like, Gonzo never would have had the opportunity to speak with Eric, the actor, who he loved more than anybody, one-on-one for any length of time if it was not for me. But because of me allowing him to call into my shows whenever I had Eric on my show, and letting him talk to Eric, I would let Gonzo stay on for the entire show, even when he was a fucking asshole to me on air. Like, one time, Eric, the actor, even was like, Gonzo, it's not your show. Like, you can't tell them what to do on their own show. Like, he even had to defend me. If it wasn't for me, Gonzo never would have had that time with Eric to talk to him as long as he did.
Was this before Twitter? The Twitter things with Eric the Midget or afterwards?
I remember him on Elise's show. He was always laid back and very, very low key.
He got a chance. Because of me, he got to talk to Bigfoot, and he fucked with Bigfoot on my show, and that's the one that got played on Howard Stern. Because of me, he got to talk with Jeff the Drunk one-on-one and Eric the Actor one-on-one a lot. Like, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to talk to him as much as he did if it wasn't for me.
I remember him most because he's a very good imitator of voices.
There's got to be something more to it than he's not telling us why he doesn't like it. But he's so very vague about it, and there's something that happened.
When I first started doing shows and interviewing whackpackers, like Maxwell and Cactus Matt and Gonzo too, like they didn't like the fact that they couldn't believe, or they didn't understand how in the world I was getting these interviews with these people. And it was almost like, this is one of Maxwell's, was one of his biggest problems with me, is that he was jealous. Like, they're like, it's a waste. Like, you don't even listen to Stern. So why the fuck are you going after all these people and, like, having them on your show? Like, it's just, that'd be like me as Maxwell interviewing someone from, Saved by the Bell. Like, it's a girl show. I don't like it. I don't watch it. But here I've scored this big interview with them. Like, it was like they felt I didn't deserve to be able to have these people on my show and interview with them because I wasn't a Stern fan and I didn't listen and I didn't know the history. But in my defense, what ended up happening is that ended up being in my favor, because then I would get them on my show, like Eric the Actor, and Eric the Actor felt very, very comfortable and safe in letting his guard down and talking with me, because I didn't have all of the preconceived notions that everybody else had, and I wasn't gonna, harass him or give him shit or bust his balls about, the usual stuff they usually busted his balls about, because I didn't know about all that. I just wanted to get to know Eric Sean Lynch, So it ended up making for a really, really good interview and showed a side of Eric that nobody had seen.
Are you responsible for Gonzo meeting Elisa too?
It doesn't matter. Like, Gonzo can say whatever the fuck he wants and they can, like, dispute it or whatever, but, like, I have the audio, so It is what it is. Gonzo knows for a fact that he would not. He might have been able to call into Stern and talk to Stern at the same time as Eric and be able to talk to Eric through that. But Stern doesn't keep them on for a long time. Everybody knows that. So he wouldn't have had, like, with my show, my shows were about 2 hours, and I would let him stay on the entire show and talk to Eric.
Yeah, brains.
So you take full credit for most of Gonzo's success then.
Gonzo shouldn't be such a piece of shit to me. Like, he shouldn't, like,
A little more.
he shouldn't treat me that bad. Like, because
Or is it?
whether he thinks I'm annoying or not, like, I don't know. I've defended him a lot. Like, when, it's just never mind. Never mind. Gonzo should hate me. I'm a piece of shit.
Why do you think he hates you?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Do you think he's jealous of you, or?
No, I don't think he's jealous of me. I just think that, like, he feels like, because, I don't know, I think some of it has to do with the fact because I don't listen to Stern. I didn't listen to Stern. And I know that Maxwell felt this way. Like, I didn't deserve to be able, I shouldn't have, I had no business having Whack Packers on my show because I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what they're all about. Like, I don't even listen. I'm not, you know, a Stern fan. So, like, why would I do that? Like, it was, I just feel like, I don't know. And maybe he feels, I honestly don't know because he's just he hates me. I don't know.
Because of your show, it allowed him to have some opportunities that he would have not had you not had these contacts with Blackback.
I really don't think that Gonzo Shitcock ever would have been able to talk to Bigfoot one-on-one for 2 hours and mess with him the way he did if it wasn't for the fact that I let him on my show to mess with Bigfoot. And I really don't think, I could be wrong, but I really don't think that Gonzo Shitcock would have been able to call up Eric at his house and have a one-on-one conversation with him and talk to him for as many hours as he did when I had him on my show and I let Gonzo call in. And Gonzo treated me horribly back then, too, and I would still let him call in and talk to Eric.